This impressive and forbidding entrance leads to the Palace of Padrauna in the Devariya district of Uttar Pradesh. Though in need of repair, this large estate symbolizes the continued prevalence of a feudal tradition that has kept the people in the grip of poverty and economic backwardness. Adjoining the palace is this village settlement of about 600 people. Owing to a lack of economic means, combined with the havoc caused by periodic flooding, the people of this area are forced to subsist on the edge of death and destruction. They are trapped in the vicious cycle of poverty, malnutrition, and disease, aggravated in this particular area by a severe environmental iodine deficiency. Lack of iodine in food and water shows up as goiter, or a swelling of the thyroid gland in the neck. While goiter does not cause any particular discomfort, lack of iodine does lead to mental and physical subnormality, especially for children.
तकलीफ हो तो कुछ
ये
हाँ
अरे कब्बो कब्बो कहीं फूल आवत है पिरात है और कुछ नहीं है
अब कुछ पूछिए उनसे
The Tarai region of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar has always been known for its disease proneness and economic backwardness. While this is the region of the great poet saints Kabir and Tulsidas, the present inheritors of this tradition are steeped in ignorance and ill health. The stunted physical development manifest in the short limbs compared to the torso are telling images of iodine deficiency. Very little has been done to alleviate the misery of these people, though information about their condition has been known for long. According to a young administrative officer, Sisir Priyadarshi,
before we are posted to a district, we are expected to read the gazette of that district. Now, the gazette of Devariya was a very old gazette, and it began by saying that this was considered a punishment posting because of the predominance of goiter and filaria.
On this map of India, we see those areas marked in red where goiter is prevalent according to our present knowledge. Over 120 million men, women, and children live in these areas. This includes the entire sub-Himalayan belt, beginning with large parts of Jammu and Kashmir, the entire state of Himachal Pradesh, pockets in Punjab and Haryana, the hill districts of Uttar Pradesh, the entire Tarai region of Uttar Pradesh and North Bihar, parts of South Bihar, North Bengal, and the whole northeastern region of Meghalaya, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Tripura, and Mizoram. A few districts in Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Gujarat have been identified so far. With more surveys being conducted, it is possible that other areas may be found where goiter is prevalent as well. Medical research in the early part of this century had already pinpointed the relationship between iodine and goiter and described some of its more serious consequences. The chapter on prevention of iodine deficiency disorders began in India in the 50s in the Kangra Valley in Himachal Pradesh. We took a tour of the valley with Dr. Ramalinga Swami, the present Director General of the Indian Council of Medical Research, and Dr. Such, Assistant Director in the Health Department of the Government of Himachal Pradesh. Both of them have been associated with the surveys and other research programs conducted in the Kangra Valley for the last 30 years. It was in this very school that the first goiter prevalence survey was conducted in 1954.
You see, we carried out baseline surveys in 54 and went up to 56.
Yeah.
And we tried to cover about 1 lakh population in the project area. And actually we surveyed out of that about 20 to 21,000 population. including,
Yeah.
of course, children also.
Yes.
And the goiter rate at that time was, in general population, it came out to about 40%.
Very simply, the relationship between environmental iodine deficiency and goiter can be understood from this chart. If there is a lack of iodine in food and water, which means a decreased iodine intake, there would be less excretion of iodine in the urine, resulting thereby in iodine deficiency disorders like goiter and cretinism. A controlled research experiment was carried out in Kangra through the distribution of iodized salt to increase the intake of iodine. Dr. Such describes the experiment.
When we started this experiment, we started with the twin objective of finding out the effect of iodine on the goiter,
Yeah.
plus the comparative values of both types of salt. And for this purpose, we carried out resurveys in
Yeah.
all the 3 zones again
Yeah.
in 62. And in that, we found very impressive results. You'll be surprised to know that goiter rate came down with a crash in zones A and C, which was supplied with fortified salt. There, the goiter rate came down by 50%.
Yeah.
But nothing happened in B, which was
Yeah.
a control zone,
Yeah.
where no fortified salt was given
Yeah.
and only plain salt was being used.
Yeah.
This happened both in general population as well as school children.
Yeah.
So much so that the children born after the introduction of this salt, they remain totally free from the goiter. This was a very nice thing because this showed that iodine helped in prophylaxis of goiter.
I think if you take the from 1956 to 1983, the story of goiter prevention in Kangra Valley, which has been followed up over the years through modern methods of investigation, it gives us a very clear example where the supply of iodized salt is effective, continuous and regular, goiter can be brought under control without any difficulty. Now that is the lesson that we learned from this.
The success of the iodized salt distribution program, as described by Dr. Such and Dr. Ramalingaswamy, is evident in the appearance of these children from Kangra. However, regular distribution of iodized salt is not an easy job, especially when the salt trade is in private hands. Dr. Such explains.
To take into confidence the department concerned. In every state, of course, this part is with not with the health departments. It is with the civil supplies departments. And they have to be convinced that unless they ensure the regular distribution of this salt, nothing would come out of it. Of course, that will be their job. Then side by side, we'll have to educate the general public also. I mean, this legislation will be there, banning the entry of plain salt. But still, we have to educate the public that they should try to get iodized salt. And if they do so, they will prevail upon the traders to get this salt from their approved dealers.
The trader's viewpoint.
साल्ट की है जिसके एक बारे में हम सीएमओ साहब से भी लगातार एक दरखास्त करते आए हैं और एक डीसी साहब से भी वो ये है कि एक लॉस ऑफ परसेंटेज आयोडीन जो है कि उनके केसेस जो हमारे अभी तक भी चल रहे हैं
अच्छा
और वो केसेस लोअर कोर्ट के तो वापस हो गए हैं लेकिन अब सेशन कोर्ट वगैरह में जो एक के केसेस हैं कि हालांकि उसके लिए स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की हदायत भी आ गई है लेकिन वो केसेस भी अभी तक वापस नहीं हुए और दुकानदारों में घबराहट है थोड़ी तो वो दुकानदार आयोडाइज्ड साल्ट भी नहीं बेचना चाहता है
Obviously, a bureaucratic imposition of the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act is not the answer, as unwittingly it may antagonize the traders. The Deputy Commissioner of Kangra District, Mr. Dev Swarup, outlines some other options.
Well, by and large, these measures have yielded some result, but I think maybe that we should think also of having some kind of monopoly procurement, possibly and preferably with, through Civil Supplies Corporation, so that the salt that comes is of appropriate quality and it lands up in one lot in the district and further it is distributed whether through the cooperative sale network or the network of the corporation concerned or through the private traders. I think that will help us a lot, because quite a few sources of supply that are there for this district, there it may not be obligatory for those people to obtain the iodized salt. But I suppose if the monopoly procurement is done and distribution is done by a state corporation, it will perhaps help us a great deal.
Sambar Lake in Rajasthan, where Hindustan Salts Limited have their manufacturing and iodization plants. Incidentally, the iodization plants were set up with UNICEF assistance. Hindustan Salts is the major supplier of iodized salt. Only recently has the private manufacture of iodized salt been permitted by the government. The total installed capacity of iodized salt production at Sambar Lake is 7 lakh tons per annum. However, according to Mr. Shukla, Managing Director of Hindustan Salts, the present utilization is much lower.
Maximum which we could sell is 2 lakh tons a year, and that is the quantity we are manufacturing. This 2 lakh tons includes 1 lakh ton supply to Nepal, and within the country only 1 lakh ton iodized salt is consumed.
Why is there such a low offtake of iodized salt, especially since legislations exist making it illegal to sell ordinary salt in endemic goiter districts?
The main reason is the people require to be educated to use iodized salt. And unless they are educated and a right type of propaganda is undertaken by the state governments and the social societies in the goiter affected areas, the consciousness and the awareness to use the salt, unless it is there, the people normally do not go for. When we are not able to educate our people, when this salt is not taken to the right consumer or to the poor man, which goes only through the traders. So there may be certain vested interests which are not allowing this salt, and non-iodized salt is getting way into the goiter affected areas. I give you the example of Nepal, where they have banned completely the entry of non-iodized salt, and that is why this small state is consuming the same quantity of iodized salt as we are able to push in our indigenous market.
The Salt Commissioner, Mr. Subramaniam.
No, one of the most important things striking me is, see, I have seen many parts of the world where this goiter endemic program is being successfully operated. Most of the places, the salt is iodized, made a compulsory iodization of all edible salt has been made in the case of Europe and the Latin American countries. And the iodized salt, which is made available at the same price as the non-iodized salt. When the other countries can do that, I don't know why we cannot do this one, throwing open the manufacture of iodized salt to all the manufacturers and making the use of iodized salt as a compulsory one in all the endemic areas.
2 salt samples, the one on the polythene sheet iodized and the other normal. Both look and taste alike. The difference can only be seen under a chemical examination. Yet, there are innumerable barriers to its effective distribution in endemic goiter districts. The National Goiter Control Program was started in India in 1962, more than 20 years ago, and legislations enacted banning the entry of ordinary salt in endemic goiter districts. Yet on the map, you will notice large areas marked in green where there is no iodized salt distribution at all, let alone the irregular supply elsewhere. Civic and health officials are often not aware of the damage that iodine deficiency disorders can do. It is often disregarded as a painless swelling of the neck. However, as our images from the Tarai region show, there are severe developmental defects and mental subnormality evident in the blank expression, meaningless grin, and shaky and unsteady gait.
तो आप मुहारे पे हैं?
हाँ हमारे को
This child with severe development defect and mental subnormality is 7 years old. We highlight 3 classic examples. Abhay Raj with stunted growth and development and the speech defect.
बैल चढ़ाते हो? भैंस चढ़ाते हो? अच्छा। तुम्हारा उम्र कितना है?
18 years old. And now, Nateshar, a goitrous deaf mute and a cretin. Kashi, a cretin undergoing a very simple memory test.
नहीं कोशिश करो ध्यान से सुन के कहबा तो आ जाए 4 7 2 9 4 7 2 9 हाँ 3 8 5 2 3 3 5 8 2 हाँ 7 2 6 1 2 1 फिर सुनो 7 2 6 1 8 2 1
In this diagram, we show you an experimental neuron with its limited arborization. Under normal growth conditions, the arborization extends itself rapidly, increasing its connectivity for normal mental functioning, like in the first year of growth of an infant. However, a deficiency of iodine intake at that critical stage of life limits the development and results in cretinism. Shaken by some of these research findings and surveys in the Tarai region, a team from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences is working to identify iodine deficiency from cord blood samples. Dr. Kochupillai of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences elaborates.
To our great surprise, we found by this sort of investigations that as much as 4% of the newborns in the severely endemic areas of our country are functionally thyroxine deficient. Therefore, stand the risk of impairing their mental or brain development. These sort of adverse consequences of endemic goiter was never thought to be there in the early stages when the National Goiter Control Program was planned and implemented. It was thought then that it is at best an enlargement of the thyroid which caused disfigurement and in very few exceptional situations give rise to developmental abnormalities. But more sophisticated studies that has been done during the last decade or so seem to cast a more gloomier outlook, indicating that as much as 4,000 to 5,000 children born in the Tarai districts of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar are destined to become mentally subnormal due to a purely and simply eradicatable environmental deficiency.
The situation is so critical in some areas that we are buying time with an iodized oil injection program, especially for women in the reproductive age group. International agencies like WHO and UNICEF share this concern. The regional director of WHO,
Southeast Asia, we have quite a problem in 8 countries. In some, this can be as high as 80 or 90%. But the important thing is not only the goiter itself, but the associated situations like cretinism, mental health, etc. We have, of course, the technology available for control and prevention of goiter. The common thing, of course, is the iodized salt, and then, of course, we have the injection of the iodized oil also, which has to be used in appropriate situations. But the problem is not only technology, there is a need for political will and also the management.
The regional director of UNICEF.
The answer to goiter and cretinism is put iodine in salt and distribute it. And it's so simple, and the technology has been known for so long that I am happy to join with the executive director of UNICEF, who said on one occasion that iodine deficiency is so easy to prevent that it's simply a crime to let a single child be born mentally handicapped for that reason.
Over 5,000 children born every year in the Tarai districts of eastern Uttar Pradesh and North Bihar begin life with thyroxine deficiency. They would become like these children, with their physical and mental development grossly retarded. With timely intervention and concerted action, it can be changed. It requires awareness and a commitment to eradicate this easily preventable disease. We have the knowledge, the technology, and the capability to do it, if only we have the will to do so.